excited to share that the presenters today are actually Maryland-based company. So with no further ado, we are going to share the screen, and we're going to talk about what they've created and why it's needed in our ecosystem. Because again, whether you're private, whether you're a business, whether you're an individual, you need to know what's being created so that way you can actually take advantage of it. And if you have questions, definitely remember that you can reach out to us, and we'll share those questions with these presenters as well as everyone else that you've been listening to over the last week. Thank you.
Thank you, Jackie. Good afternoon, everyone. This is Videhi Rao. I'm the CEO and co-founder of BlendTech Inc. And I have Ankit with me.
Hi, everyone.
No problem. You have to turn.
1 second. There it is. There you go.
Okay. Yep, I have the clicker.
Yep.
I'm joined by Ankit, who's the CTO and co-founder at BlendTech Inc. And today we are talking about what does the back office of the 18 trillion tokenized economy looks like. How many of you here have a stock that you own? An index, a fund, a 401k, you do? Do you have the paper certificate that shows your ownership? No? No, right? Because by now, every stock is a digital record. And it's sitting in some database. It's a row that says you own the stock and it's worth of this money. So your stock is already a digital record. Interesting fact, there is a company in New Jersey called DTC. They pretty much are owning the database that has the stock copy of every single individual that you can think about on the street. So you already have it. It is a digital record. You don't own the physical copy. Your ownership is a digital record as well. So what token is doing, a real world token is doing, is pretty much a same thing. It's pretty much the same thing. It's an ownership record. The change is that it is kept on the blockchain and not into any database or anybody's database system. And that's what it means. So it's not private. It's a public data. Once it is on blockchain, anybody can go in, anybody can see it. So it's available for you to review, verify, and confirm your ownership of the stock. There are companies who have started doing this. As you can see, a couple of asset managers, there are banks, there are custodians who already started doing the real-world tokenization of asset. Like probably 3 to 4 years ago, real-world token was not a thing. And now, as you can see, within a couple of years, as the blockchain technology has supported, the companies are making the move. BlackRock by now has close to 2.5 billion on there. DTCC just acquired Securrency, is making it first real-world token that's going live end of this year. JP Morgan Chase, Broadridge, BNY is getting there, and many, many small to mid-sized banking are also getting into the real-world tokenization. What does the state is doing in that same space? So state is not leaving behind. At least 4 states by now have come forward and started putting the public records and the public money on blockchain. Wyoming has the first state to issue the stable coin. New Jersey is getting the property deeds tokenized now. California has DMV digitization, and Maryland, right here, the Baltimore County is also starting with the property deeds going onto the blockchain. So private sector, public sector, everybody is moving into the tokenized world and creating a real world tokens. What does that mean for the old institution who's running a business probably 200 years, for over 200 years now? Why do you think that they are moving into a tokenization world? They have systems, they have setup, they have people, they have technologies, everything that they have running for years. So why do you think this banking and the government sector is moving on to a real world tokenization? The real reason for that is the speed. Right now, the settlement, the end of a day, closing the books takes sometimes, it's called T+1, T+2, sometimes T+3 days, versus when you talk about blockchain, the settlement is instantaneous. It's real time, it's 24/7, there is no 9 to 5 job, the blockchain continues to work. The opportunity to fractionalize your access to an asset. Think about $1 billion building that people like you and I don't think of that we can own it any day. But once it becomes a tokenized asset, everybody can have their own fraction. I can invest 10,000, he can invest 50,000, you can invest 100,000. We still all have a fraction access to that building, which is worth $1 billion. So the access of the assets becomes really, really easy for even the common man to have it. Global distributions, cross-border, it makes it even more easier. Do not have to deal with a lot of compliances, rules, and audit from there. And one automation. It's in your digital wallet. It's in your phone. You can check the status of it anytime, any point. You don't have to call your bank and say, generate my settlement report. I want to see what's my asset, what's the status of my asset that looks like. And that's the reason why the private sector, public sector, everyone is so ready to move into the real world asset tokenization. Some of the numbers that the market research says, which BCG, BYN, and many other institutionals have projected. So as of now, it was a late 2025, close to 0.6 trillion, that is 600 billion assets have been tokenized, projected to reach 9.4 trillion by 2030 and more than 18 trillion by 2033. There was a presentation earlier today where there is another research that was published which says the tokenized assets could probably reach 30 trillion by 2035. So the number is growing, the market is real, the value is real. However, there are some challenges for the scale. And that's what we want to talk about next, is to what are those challenges and how we are helping solve that. Ankit, I'll have you.
Hey, thank you, Vedahi. Hey, everyone, this is Ankit Goel, CTO at Blendtech. So, yeah, as Vedahi said, we are addressing a space that exists in the market today. The reason is, even with going through tokenization for all these big institutions, that tokenization changes the rails, but it does not change the rules. You still have to publish your daily NAV file. You still have to work on your audit trails. You still have to, one second. You still have to have investor and regulatory reporting. You still have to have your books and records. Let's see. And any fund, any real estate, a real world asset that's tokenized out there will have to report a daily NAV. You have to let your auditors know for every position movement. You have to let your investors and regulatory reporting publish all the statements, filings, tax documents, and so on. And you have to keep your books clean. That does not translate easily into the tokenized world. Oops. Yeah, I have a better idea here. I'm gonna do this to make it easy. Hello? Okay, perfect. All right, so reconciliation into the legacy financial systems, that is very important. The problem is your 100-year-old institutions, your state governments, your JP Morgan Chases and everything, they have been doing things a certain way, right? You have your ERP systems, you have your Oracle systems, you have your SAP systems that reconcile everything, publish everything in terms of audit trails, audit reporting, NAV files and everything. Now, that entire process has to translate into the tokenized world, onto your blockchain assets. That is the tax that every institution that is going onto the blockchain must pay. Now, we're not just talking about funds here. We're talking about supply chain and trade, anybody who's doing tokenization, cross-border payments, carbon and commodities, real estate, title companies, healthcare and pharma, gaming and digital companies. Everybody who wants to have tokenized assets will need to do this. Sorry, I'm going in the wrong direction. There you go. All right, now, since all those systems, your SAP systems, your Oracle systems have been in function for a very long time, for one product line, nobody is gonna rip those systems out. Those systems are gonna continue. What we would need to do is figure out a way for blockchain to talk into those traditional or legacy systems. Now, that's where trust issue comes in. The blockchain systems do not have the trust factor with your legacy fiat currency systems. That is where we come in. So, well, let's go to how people are doing it today first. So, what is happening today is manually, people at these companies are pulling in NAV files by opening the blockchain, each blockchain, going to their explorers, copying the wallet balances, mapping wallets into accounts, reformatting and everything. So basically, it's either Excel or some kind of macros or some kind of scripts. Either ways, the process is super, super manual. It could be costing an average fund, an average company, 2,000 plus staff hours per fund, per custodian or fund admin. So how do we automate or make this trust easier to implement? That's where BlendTech AI comes in. What we have done is we have established a completely automated system using agentic AI, which is able to index all the 7 chains, get into agentic AI normalization and mapping, and then deliver NAV-ready files. What used to take 6 to 8 hours for each task is down to 15 minutes or less, with 100% audit tail attached. And there is no new system that you need to integrate. It integrates directly into your old ERP system. Why agentic AI? So the two of us have been in the financial data world, financial reconciliations, financial systems, all kinds of financial data for 20 years each for us, so like 40 years total. We used to do these kinds of reconciliations using rules-based engines or file parsing and mapping and entity management and everything. The difference is when we are talking assets on the blockchain, assets that these big companies own, we are talking so much data at once that you cannot efficiently reconcile it using old-fashioned systems. That is where agentic AI comes in. Before AI, this piece was almost impossible to automate. Now, with AI, it is possible. Now, why agentic AI? The reason is AI hallucinates if you do not have the guardrails in place. If it does not find the data, it will generate some data. And then you would be even further from compliance than you are today. So instead, what we did is implement a multi-agent system where each agent is only doing a particular portion of the data pipeline, and all the guardrails are in place. There is context through RAG. There is runtime guardrails in terms of rules files. We have golden data sets that we validate against, and so on. So with all of that, we are able to build out an efficient system. You want to take this one, or should I? Okay, I can take it. Okay. So as we said before, we have close to 40 years of financial data expertise among the two of us. We were like, okay, if we can build it. Can somebody else not build it? The answer is yes, but it's going to be brutally painful. The reason is the context knowledge, domain knowledge, deep domain knowledge of both TradFi systems, NAV mechanics, audit evidence, and multi-chain indexing and reporting, all those financial segments, domain knowledge of all of that, bench depth. We have advisors in our team which have been either part of the blockchain world for a very long time and have been part of very big deliveries and systems there, or people from the financial world who have been doing this for a long time. So the key here is domain knowledge and the way we have been able to implement it.
So if you think about if you had seen the Bloomberg terminals that came in early 1995, before then, there was a telephone system where you call an operator and ask for an information and your fund get transferred. When the Bloomberg terminal came in, it basically ended that era of telephone calling to figure out what's the status of my fund, how much money that I have, what is left, how can I transact. Bloomberg made it all easy. It was all automated system. You can think of 2010 when the automated payments. Before then, it used to be a manual payment that you have to go to bank every single time to do a transactions. Early 2010, when the automated payment came in, the fintech came in, PayPal, Apple Pay, you have now digital wallet, you just transact with your phone even if you don't have the credit card. As you fast forward over to 2026, that's what Blendtech is set for. We want to end the era of this manual reconciliation, copying data from Excel sheets to macro, to do a validation and reconciliation and transformation, and figuring it out how my hexadecimal code on blockchain maps to an entity that is XYZ LLC, or how that 16 decimal point on blockchain converts to a 4 decimal point of the dollar numbers in your legacy ERP ledger. It's all manual right now. Somebody is like literally sitting in, start their day at 8 o'clock, ends their day at 5 p.m., doing nothing but copying data manually so that they can close the book at the end of a day. And that is just for one fund. If you have more than 10, 15, 20 fund, that means people are literally sitting doing this as their day job. And imagine when a human has to do a same repetitive work every single day, every single hours, the error rate is super high. An average 3 to 5% is an error rate that the custodians are reporting, which means millions of dollars are lost when the error rate goes high. So that's where Blendtech comes in. Our goal is to end that era of manual reconciliation, manual copying, minimize that error rate. Every morning, when a fund admin starts their day, they have the NEF file ready, indexing to all those 5, 6, 7, 10, whatever number of blockchains they have. All they do is review the file, confirm the numbers match, put it into your system, you close your book. The benefit of that is your error rate goes down to minimal to, of course, no. The exception file is available for somebody to check when transaction does not match, why is it not matching. So then your human is spending time on solving real problem versus copying data. And then auditors or compliance who comes behind those bank and custodians have the audit trail ready that they can show, yes, this was my transactions on blockchain, and here are my data, and how am I reconciling with my back office on end of a day. So that's our goal. We are here. Thank you, Jackie and the team, for the opportunity to present here today. We are looking to have more partners and customers to leverage this technology to take it to production and benefit from them. Thank you. Any questions for us? Yes.
Can you say that question one more time?
Credit union.
like going to to blockchain? Is that your question? Whether they are gonna go or not? I would say they're not today, but they will eventually get there as well. The thing is, the reason blockchain is picking up is because things are easier to do. Yes, the data is much larger, it's difficult to reconcile, but overall the systems are much easier to do and it is more future proof that way. As smart contracts come in, as you know, fractional ownership gains popularity, it's gonna be easier. Credit unions, the difference with them is their compliance rules for them are slightly different from investment banks and other institutions like private equity. Private equity is quick to jump on blockchain because for them, they can do it out of the box. But for credit unions, they might have more compliance procedures to complete before they can get there. But our view is that they will get there.
I think there is an encouragement. That's why we want the real world asset as the projection says that we are getting there. The faster the credit union gets into a tokenized economy, the better closing of book automation and the faster time for responding their customers going to increase. So we just need to spread the awareness, make sure people can benefit from the tokenization, and ensure that they are scaling as the rest of the world is scaling as well. Anybody else? Any other questions?
Awesome.
Great. Thank
Thank
you,
you so
everyone.
much.
We have our contact information. We are happy to answer any questions anytime. And want to have us pitch to anybody else, do let us know. We are happy to partner. And we are here in Maryland, so anytime, welcome.
Stay on stage. So for everyone, we are going to follow after some short pictures with our EndNote, which will be the premiere of Bermuda. So stay seated, and we're going to leave that screen up for the pictures, and then we will continue with the EndNote. Give me a second. Yes.